to our session this evening about creating an aims and principles based programme with our Woodcraft Folk groups of young people. My name's Lauren, for those who don't know, and I work at Woodcraft Folk as programme manager. So I do lots of things around supporting groups, volunteers and our young people to engage in programme, and also really excitingly at the moment helping by being the project manager for Camp 100 this summer. Some of the programme that we'll do at Camp 100 is really great to then take away again to our groups after camp. But in the meantime, before we get there, what we're going to cover this evening is we're going to look at what are Woodcraft Folk's aims and principles. This might be old news for some people who are here. This could be brand new information for others who are here or who are listening. We're going to look at what Woodcraft Folk's outcomes for young people are, so what we're hoping that groups are doing. And then we're going to look at some example ideas, easy ways that we can achieve those outcomes, as well as have a fantastic time in our groups. I'll give you a rough idea of where you can find some extra support and some extra resources. And then there's time for questions. As I said before, if anybody has any questions as we go along, let me know, put them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. And if I'm speaking too quickly, or I'm not making any sense, then interrupt me and tell me that as well. So first of all, Woodcraft Folk's aims and principles are here on the screen in front of us. Lots of them, as I say, could be the reason that you joined Woodcraft Folk, is that the aims and principles align with what your personal principles of life are. It could be that you've never heard these before ever. So I'll just run us through them. So obviously the first one, probably one that everybody's aware of when they join Woodcraft Folk, is that we aim to always have a kind of cooperative and sharing attitude to life. So everything that we do, we try to do it cooperatively, with not just one person making a decision, but that being a group decision, people working together and achieving more by working together rather than working individually or separately or against each other. Secondly, a world at peace. So we're hopeful that our future, the young people that are in our world now, are all striving towards having a world at peace, so ending conflict around the world, looking at some of those kind of reasons and causes of conflict and exploring that with young people as well. One world, sometimes people aren't really sure what that one means, but one world is all around sort of working together as one world to achieve all of the things that we're talking about now. So to achieve peace, to look after our nature and our environment, doing that together, not blaming individuals or certain regions for the climate crisis or the situation that we're in, but working together cooperatively to solve those issues and to work together to make our world more fair and more sustainable. Education for social change. It's on lots of our hoodies or t-shirts, or it's been one of our sort of slogans for a long time. That's all around kind of making social change, whether that's small in our local area, in our groups, whether that's bigger across the country or kind of in the world, in our continent and across the world. International understanding, again, exploring things, international friendship, learning about different cultures, coming to events like Camp 100 this summer, meeting people from different countries, taking part in activities run by our international friends from the IFM SEI network. The rights of the child, so adhering to and learning about and exploring the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. So getting young people to find out more about their rights. And us as adults and volunteers, also respecting the rights of children and helping them, flourish and enjoy what they're doing at Woodcraft Folk. And finally, religion, which is all around accepting, tolerating, welcoming people from all different religions. And again, exploring that with our young people, celebrating all different walks of life and all different backgrounds from where people come. Sorry if I rush through those, but we're going to explore them a little bit more as we go through. So this might be something that we can do, might be a brief discussion, could be a bit longer depending on where we're at in our volunteering journey. But does anybody have any ideas, if I go back to the list of the aims and principles, which ones of these do we feel like might be really easy to deliver with our groups and our young people, and what ones might be more difficult to deliver activities around? If anybody has any ideas, they can shout them out. If not, I can share my opinions. No problems. So in my view, activities often, especially for our young people, our elfins, our wood chips, potentially, the more easy side of things could be around that cooperative and sharing attitude to life. There's lots of different activities that you can do there, cooperative games. I don't know if you want to jump in. Kezia, have you unmuted yourself?
Hi, Lauren, can you hear
Oh yeah,
me?
okay, we can hear you. Yeah,
Okay, cool. I think we cover all of these in our groups in different ways, actually, and sometimes there's some overlap between the two of them. So, for example, religious festivals and international understanding, often we will put those two hand in hand. And so we will talk about a particular festival that might be celebrated somewhere, particularly in the world, and also that will cover kind of some aspects of religion. Say, for example, we've done a holy before now. We've done kind of talked about how in India they celebrate Holi, and also talked about the Hindu religion that might sit behind that. And then we would kind of weave into that things around, for example, greater understanding within our own community, people from different backgrounds, different religions, so people who might have come from India, who might be celebrating Holi in our local area. And because often our kids don't even realise that actually they're even within our community setting, there will be people who have come from all over different places in the world.
definitely. That all sounds really good.
And also on that, we can throw in something to do with like, so holy colours and what they're made of and what the dyes are made of and whether they're environmentally friendly. So we would be checking that have we got holy colours that are actually biodegradable, for example.
That sounds really good. I think exploring, yeah, different festivals that maybe some of the volunteers in the group as well haven't heard of, and different ways of celebrating can be really exciting. And as you said, exactly that. There's lots of activities that incorporate lots of these aims and principles, and sometimes we're doing it without even realizing it. And I think that lots of the activities that when volunteers, and I'm a volunteer myself as well, with my local group in New Barnet in North London, when volunteers maybe hear like, oh, we want the activities to stick to the aims and principles, it maybe sounds a little bit daunting, but often I like to think that there aren't really that many activities that don't adhere to at least one of these aims and principles that are fun for young people to do. But it's really good when we can do some specific things that give really good educational understanding, as well as having fun, as well as with something like Holi, being able to kind of play with the dyes and throw them around is also really fun. So that sounds really good. Um, I don't know whether people will have seen this before, depending on again like how long you've been with Woodcraft Folk and what your experience has been so far. But these are the outcomes that we would love for our groups to be able to sort of be achieving and working towards within our groups. As you can see here, they're split up into our aims and principles, which are the coloured kind of titles at the top. And then down the side, we've got our age groups. So just a reminder for people that wood chips are traditionally people who are under 6. We've then got elfins who are 6 to 9, pioneers who are traditionally 10 to 12, and venturers who are 13 to 15. There are lots of different ways that you can interpret the aims and principles through this kind of matrix, outcomes matrix, by looking at sort of the things that we've got here. So as I say, sometimes we can be doing it without even realizing. So for elfins, when you want to explore international friendship, for example, it's about looking at activities that help us understand that we're part of a wider world, or developing awareness of different cultures and backgrounds in their community, which is exactly what we just heard that Wiv and Ho are doing, and gave a great example of how you're doing that. So again, we can look at things like peace, and then we can look at venturers, and we can think whether our venturer groups are ready to start thinking about how to promote peaceful solutions, maybe in their own lives, or kind of in the wider society, and also how they can kind of model non-violent conflict resolution and mediation. It could be, and every group is different, but it could be that you're working with a venturer group, and some of the things that are in this matrix that maybe relate back to kind of pioneers or elfins might become relevant or might be needed every now and then to do some of those activities. And equally, when you're working with pioneers, there might be some adventurer outcomes that you feel that your group could achieve. So always remember that every group is different, and it's all about stage rather than age. So I think make sure that your group feel comfortable with what you're doing, and that way you'll probably enjoy it a lot more. But you can find this outcomes matrix on the website. I think it's a really good way just to help us look at the different age groups and then find age appropriate kind of ways or different stage appropriate ways of how we can explore some of these topics, because some of them are huge topics that we're not going to be able to sort of solve, resolve, and explore everything about all in one group night, hour and a half. But we can start making our way towards them by looking back at this. There's also lots of things, again, sorry if I keep relating back to camping trips and residentials, but that's lots what's on my mind at the moment. So I think looking at some of these things and how we can do that when we're at camps or on residential trips with our groups as well is really important too. And some of the stuff around listening to each other, sharing, being confident about expressing our feelings, all of this stuff that's in the wood chip kind of outcomes is all really important for all ages, I think. So there's lots of opportunities at Woodcraft Folk to listen to each other, to explore fairness, to work in different groups together, and to get to know your group and the kind of background circumstances that make up your group and your local community as well. We've maybe already heard about some activity examples that relate back to our aims and principles. If anybody wants to share any more as we go through, then they're welcome to. This picture is of Clapham Elfins doing a wonderful session around dancing and international dance. I think they did a bit of ceilidh dancing. I think they did a bit of dancing from different countries as well. So it looks like a fun session. Just a little top tip reminder on the different kinds of activities that we might be doing at Woodcraft Folk. So as you can see in the pictures here, you might be doing some things with your hands and making things. So in this picture, some young people making survival bracelets out of paracord, learning about where they might use their survival bracelet, how it works, putting it together. And then as you can see in that picture, supporting each other when they couldn't remember the tricky pattern. I also needed a bit of support to remember the pattern too. We've got activities that are more active activities. So that might be playing with a parachute. That could be running around inside, outside, depending on where your space is, playing games with each other, getting to know each other better, and having discussions. We've then got the last picture, which was a kind of treasure map that a group created at a residential recently, where we had actually hidden the articles of the Convention of the Rights of the Child around the centre. They all had to go and find them and then put together the map to be able to find the remaining ones. So working together, cooperating together to achieve the task. So yeah, again, just those top tips. Not all groups are the same. Choose activities that are right for your group. Get to know your group. Get to know what they enjoy. It's really important at the end of each term to evaluate with your group. What did they enjoy? What would they like to do more of next term? What would they like to do less of? What helps them feel involved? What helps them learn new skills? We want to always be trying to empower our young people to have their voices heard and to be listened to. So it's really great if you can talk to your group about what kinds of things they'd like to do. And it might take a little bit of guiding it back to relating it to the aims and principles of Woodcraft Folk. But again, it could be really great activities that they come up with. And it might be a really good way that you can get the young people to take a bit more ownership over the plans for their groups and what they do. And maybe they want to lead some of the sessions themselves or make up their own games or try some different things out. So just a few example ideas. I'm not going to go through every activity that you could ever do about all of these topics because we'd be here all night and everybody's got dinner and things to get to. So if you want to explore cooperation, which again, like I said, is possibly one of the more often what people find an easier aim to find activities about and do activities about, you could look at cooperative games. We have a whole games book with over 500 games in it, easily named games, games, games. You can find pretty much all of those games on the website. I'll show you how to at the end of the session. All of the games in games, games, games are cooperative games. So if you get caught in the game, or if you would kind of traditionally be out in that game, often you just join another team, or you have a different role within the game. So you're not sort of having young people sitting on the side of activities for ages, waiting for there to be a kind of winner of the game. You can do lots of cooperative challenges, so working together. One of my favorite cooperative challenges is something called Mission Impossible. So you write down kind of 15 tasks for the group to do, and they can be really silly. They can be like make up a song or make up a dance, or kind of count how many chairs are in the building, or count how many spoons are in the kitchen, or something like that. Give them 15 tasks and then give them 10 minutes to complete those tasks, and they realize after a couple of minutes that they're not going to complete them all unless they sort of work together. And often if you get them to kind of make up a song or make up a dance within that, at the end you've got some really good things to present, and often then that song becomes the anthem of your group for a while because they've all had such fun making it together. If you want to explore peace, there are some really great Peace Pledge Union activities where we've partnered up with Peace Pledge Union to create activities around white poppies and why they're important and what they are. We've created some activities around sort of promoting that never again spirit of not wanting war to continue in the future, and activities about how we can resolve conflict peacefully. We've also got a peace education pack, which is curated and put together by our international partners at IFM. And you can also explore peace. Unfortunately, in the world right now, we don't have a world at peace. So there are lots of things going on in the world that you could sensitively have discussions about within your group, or kind of look at activities of how you could support some peaceful action towards the affairs that are currently going on. If you're looking to explore that sort of working together as one world, fighting the climate crisis and kind of looking to support and protect our natural world, you can do loads of kind of outdoor activities, exploring your local area, seeing, you can do a kind of nature survey of what is in your local area, and maybe get the young people to have a think about what might make your area greener or cleaner. Looking in a similar vein at kind of education for social change, find out about what matters to the young people in your group. What are they passionate about? Can they make some social action, take some social action in some way? Might that be that the park is full of too much kind of dog litter, and they want to kind of start a campaign to clear that up? Is it that too many supermarkets are leaving their lights on when they're closed? Maybe they want to do a campaign to kind of try and make change in their area. Could be anything that's kind of making positive change about an issue that matters to them. It could also be, getting in touch with your local MP about a change that you want to make, either in your community or in the wider society as well. Looking at international understanding, I'll just throw in again that you could look at the Camp 100 activity book. There's lots of stuff in there about kind of welcoming our international friends this summer, and also looking at different kind of cultures and youth organisations around the world. So yeah, international understanding activities give a greater understanding of the world around us. In terms of children's rights and looking at activities around that, we want to support young people to find out what their rights are. So you can do lots of activities about finding out the different rights. And often that's really interesting for young people who haven't heard of the Children's Rights Convention before. And I think there's lots of things in there that you can get different activities about. We can also encourage young people to sort of participate in speaking out when their rights are not being heard, or looking at different campaigns around the world that are promoting children's rights in countries where maybe these rights aren't as respected as they are here in the UK. So what I am going to do really quickly before I finish speaking is I'm just going to take us to the Woodcraft Folk website if I can. I'm going to try and be really technical, and let's see if I can do that. In fact, I'm not. I'm just going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to come to it here. So I'm just going to show everybody the Woodcraft website. This might be a place where people are going all the time. This might be something that is brand new, again, brand new information for people. But if I just share my screen again. So on the Woodcraft website, we've got our beautiful homepage here, which hopefully everybody can see now. Is it? Yeah, great. So if you come up here for groups, and you can come to program, and there are two things here that are really useful for group leaders to find activities. So we've got group activities, which is our activity archive, and really cleverly you can search by activity type. So let's say that we wanted to have an activity that was a game, and let's say that we're doing an activity with pioneers, and it will kind of filter down all to lots of activities that are games for pioneers. You can then be a little bit more specific and say, like we've been talking about, I want a game that's about cooperation, and my group is 10 to 20 people, and then we'll give you activities that might be suitable for your group. If you wanted to explore something else, if you wanted to explore equality and inclusion, for example, and you wanted to come back to have a discussion about it, then again there are activities that are kind of filtered down to be about the topic, group size, age group that you're working with. And again, like I said, if you kind of take off the filters, you can see all of the activities that relate to that topic, so that you can see what would work best for your group. The other thing to highlight on the website, if we come back up to 4 groups, if you go into program again and come to activity packs, these are packs that either are created by Woodcraft Folk or by IFM SEI, our international friends. You can come in here, and so if you were doing some activities around gender equality, let's go with that one, see what's in there. You can then look at the activities that are in that activity pack, and you could follow some of these activities. You can also go to the public resources drive, and find the whole activity pack too. So again, with the Peace Education Handbook that I mentioned earlier, you can scroll down, and again, you can filter down to sort of say I'm working with Elfins, and we want to look at something about peace, and then it will give us some peace activities there that we can explore with our group. When you come into an activity, you get step-by-step instruction of what to do, and you get some discussion questions, which are often the most important part of the activity. The discussion questions about how the group feel about doing the activity, what they liked about the activity, and yeah, different questions that I'll explore with the group the impact maybe that these activities have had on young people. As I say, there are loads of activities on here specifically about aims and principles and different topics. But there's also a whole section that are games or activities that are in this kind of just for fun section here. And these ones are exploring cooperation, well-being, democracy, lots of different topics, but also are maybe a bit more lighthearted and fun for the group as well. So that is the resources that we've got on the website, or some of the resources that we've got on the website. There are also in some of those activity packs, there are some really good stuff from kind of projects that we've done in the past. So we did a project a couple of years ago about children's rights and the rights of the child, and there's a whole kind of resource pack on the website around activities to explore that with your group. So again, if that's one of those more tricky ones for people to find out about, or don't have such big knowledge about themselves, there's loads of resources to kind of help you learn with your group, or to help you kind of find out about it before you go and do an activity with your group. So back to those further resources, we've got the activity packs and the website activity archive that we just looked at. There are some IFM resources on there, as well as Woodcraft Folk resources. We encourage that groups also have a look at maybe organisations that we've partnered with in the past, or organisations that are like-minded to ourselves. A few listed here, but there are lots more. So Amnesty International, UNICEF, looking at Fair Trade Foundation, exploring those kind of current affairs. Like we said, Fair Trade Fortnight happens every year in September. So looking at how we can celebrate that with our groups and learn about fair trade. Peace Pledge Union, as I mentioned, lots of activities with them. Other like-minded organisations, other youth organisations. It's always good to share practice and span the world with friendship, as we always say. All group coordinators should receive the half-term activity suggestions, which every half-term we send out some activities that relate back to normally one of our aims and principles, or a topic that's important to our young members. So our most recent one that got sent out last week was all around preparing for Camp 100 and getting ready to come to camp. But in the past, they've been on topics of all the aims and principles: peace, cooperation, international friendship, looking at ways that we can support each other and our well-being as well. So if you're not receiving those half-term activity suggestions and you'd like to, drop us an email and you can be added to the list as well. Does anybody have any questions? Did anything not make sense? Hopefully this has given everybody a little bit of an idea of things that we can do to explore the aims and principles with our groups. I'm going to stop the recording.